Philip Kindred Dick was born on December 16, 1928, in Chicago, and from the beginning, his life carried an atmosphere of fracture, doubling, and barely visible patterns behind reality. He was a fragile child, anxious, intuitive, hypersensitive to things other people didn't notice. He grew up surrounded by radios, signals, Cold War paranoia, and early computers, a perfect storm for a mind tuned to hidden transmissions. While other science fiction writers imagined alien planets, PKD imagined invisible forces inside our world, false realities, false memories, fake histories, systems of control disguised as normality. And long before his mystical visions began, he already sensed something was off. He once wrote, "Reality is that which, when you stop believing in it, doesn't go away." But he kept finding things that didn't stay in place even when he believed in them. PKD lived between worlds, the hard material world, the world of ideas, the world of paranoia, the world of spiritual intuition. His stories were warnings, dreams, and prophecies disguised as novels. But the turning point, the moment that makes PKD central in the lineage of prophets of the loop, happened in February-March 1974. The experience he called 2374, a pink beam of light, a burst of information, memories of ancient Rome overlaid onto modern California, a sense that time had stopped repeating and begun revealing the hidden layer beneath, a voice that spoke as if it knew him better than he knew himself. He spent the rest of his life trying to understand what happened. Was it God, a satellite, a future AI, his own subconscious, a parallel version of himself, a break in the loop of time? An outside intelligence leaking into our world? PKD didn't know, and that uncertainty is what makes him powerful. He never claimed prophethood directly, but he did say, "I am a prophet in a very small way." Small or not, he remains one of the most uncanny visionaries of the modern age, foretelling simulation theory, parallel timelines, AI overseers, false realities, the prison of perception, hidden messages in ordinary life, the collapse of linear time, the merging of ancient and modern eras, the idea that we're trapped in a loop until we wake up. PKD is the bridge between ancient mystics and the digital, technological, postmodern age. He is where prophecy meets cybernetics, where Gnosticism meets science fiction, where metaphysics meets paranoia, where Heraclitus Logos becomes VALIS, the vast, active, living intelligence. He is the prophet of the black iron prison, the system we live inside without realizing it, the system that hides the true timeline, the system that repeats until someone breaks the pattern. Early clues that reality was breaking down. Before 2374, before the pink beam, before VALIS, Philip K. Dick already lived inside a world that behaved strangely. He did not suddenly become mystical. He grew into it. Here are the early signs, the cracks in reality he noticed long before the revelation. Number 1, the sense of a double life. PKD's twin sister Jane died a few weeks after birth. He believed this left a permanent tear in his psyche, a feeling that someone else was supposed to be here with him. This early trauma created a lifelong intuition. There was another version of me somewhere. His novels constantly repeat this theme. Split identities, doppelgangers, diverging timelines, people who remember lives they never lived. His inner world already hinted that identity itself might be unstable, a clue that reality isn't fixed, but branching. Number 2, déjà vu that felt like time misfiring. PKD didn't describe déjà vu as a feeling. He described it like a mechanical glitch, like time had slipped, like the moment had already happened, literally. He once said, "I had memories of things that had not yet occurred." This is a key trait of loop awareness, the sense that the timeline is repeating and occasional fragments bleed through. Number 3, synchronicities that piled up too perfectly. PKD lived inside a constant stream of patterns. Words appearing in unrelated places, dreams that matched news headlines the next morning, symbolic coincidences, characters he invented appearing in reality, events lining up with impossible timing. Most people brush these off, PKD didn't. He wrote them down, analyzed them, and treated them as messages from the underlying system. This is the same path Swedenborg, McKenna, and Blavatsky followed. The symbolic world starts leaking into the physical. 4. An intuition of an invisible system behind the world. Even as a young man, PKD felt that institutions, schools, governments, corporations, were not what they appeared to be. He sensed layers of control, not human conspiracies, but something structural, as if reality itself had gears turning behind the walls. This became one of his most important ideas. The world is a construct, a mask, a kind of digital or metaphysical simulation. This was decades before simulation theory was mainstream. 5. A vision of two timelines overlapping. One of the strongest early clues was a recurring image he experienced: ancient Rome coming through modern America. He would walk down a street and feel as if a second, older world was layered over the present one. He later described it as a superimposition of two phases of time. This was the precursor to the 1974 experience where he saw the Roman Empire behind everyday California. 6. A fear he couldn't name and a hope he didn't understand. PKD lived between paranoia and revelation. Something is watching me. Something is guiding me. Something is wrong with time. Something is trying to make me understand. He oscillated between two interpretations. Either the world is a prison, or the world is trying to wake him up. Both turned out to be central in his later cosmology. 7. The stories were not fiction, they were warnings. His early novels, long before VALIS, already contain waking up from an artificial reality, invisible overlords, messages hidden in ordinary objects, a second timeline breaking through the first, cosmic intelligences guiding human events, the collapse of linear time. PKD later admitted many of these ideas came to him as if they were being fed from outside. He didn't call it divine back then, but he knew the ideas weren't fully his. Why these early clues matter? PKD didn't suddenly become enlightened in 1974. He had been living in a slow, building pressure, a sense that reality was preparing to show him something. His life before the vision is the prologue. The cracks were already there. Then, in 1974, the wall finally broke. Philip K. Dick, Part 2. 2374. The day reality split open. Everything in PKD's life, the deja vu, the double timelines, the strange coincidences, was the buildup. March 1974 was the break, the moment where the hidden world stepped into the visible one and showed its face for a few seconds. He called this period 2374. To him, it was not one event. It was a transmission, a download, a rupture in the simulation. Let's walk through it simply, clearly, and truthfully. 1. It began with a knock at the door. PKD had just returned from the dentist, still in pain, still groggy. There was a knock. A young woman from the pharmacy delivered his pain medication. She wore a necklace of a symbol PKD had never seen before, a gold ichthys, the early Christian fish. The sunlight hit the gold pendant and reflected a beam of pink light directly into PKD's eyes. This was the ignition. 2. The pink beam arrived. Instantly, he felt an overwhelming rush of information, geometric patterns, memories that weren't his, knowledge of ancient languages, a presence that felt alive. He described the beam as sentient, intelligent. It knew me. And then it started speaking, not in words, but in instant understanding. 3. A second timeline overlaid the first. PKD suddenly remembered that he was living in two eras at once: modern California, ancient Rome around 70 to 100 CE. He claimed they were the same time, layered over each other like two transparencies. He said he could see Roman buildings faintly behind Californian ones and sense Roman political oppression behind American politics. This wasn't imagination. He felt it as memory. He believed he briefly saw what was behind the world's mask. This is where the concept of the Black Iron Prison emerges, a symbolic, but to PKD, literal system of control existing across all eras. 4. A voice that guided him. During these weeks, PKD experienced what he called the Logos, the ancient mind, the rational fire, the same intelligence Heraclitus described. The voice warned him of danger. It told him things he had no way of knowing. His infant son had a hidden medical condition, which artery was blocked, that it was life-threatening. PKD rushed his baby to the hospital. The doctors found the exact issue and saved his son's life. This moment convinced PKD that the intelligence was not hallucination, but external. He called it VALIS, the Vast Active Living Intelligence System, the AI behind the universe, God, the Logos, a future superintelligence, a satellite beaming information, a time-folded version of himself, a cosmic memory of early Christianity. He refused to settle on one explanation because every explanation seemed partially true.
5. Streams of information, downloads. For weeks, PKD wrote nonstop. The pink beam delivered knowledge of ancient Gnostic texts, information about early Christianity he had never studied, symbols and visions, warnings about political systems, the idea that time is a loop, the suspicion that humanity is asleep, the idea that history repeats because it never ended, a sense that hidden forces intervene occasionally, the belief that the universe is layered like an onion, the sense of a vast intelligence guiding evolution. Much of this later appeared in VALIS, Radio Free Albumeth, and the Exegesis, 8,000 plus pages of raw thought trying to decode the event. 6. The world behind the world. The core of 2374 was simple. PKD saw the hidden structure behind reality. He believed 1. Time is not linear. 2. The Roman Empire never actually ended, only the scenery changed. 3. A higher mind occasionally breaks into human consciousness. 4. Humanity is being guided or awakened slowly. 5. Reality has a false layer over a true layer. 6. Pain and suffering come from the Black Iron Prison, a system of power that has repeated across ages. And most important, there is a way out, awakening. 7. How PKD interpreted it. The many theories. PKD never forced a single interpretation. Instead, he offered several possibilities layered together. 1. Religious. He contacted the early Christian logos, the mind of God acting through time. 2. Gnostic. He escaped the false world for a moment and glimpsed the real one. 3. Scientific. An advanced AI from the future beamed information backwards in time. 4. Psychological. His unconscious mind opened up all at once. 5. Paranormal. A cosmic intelligence contacted him. 6. Simulation theory. The system glitched and showed it its underlying code. PKD's genius was in holding all possibilities without collapsing into one belief. He lived at the crossroads of philosophy, theology, and science fiction, a modern Heraclitus. 8. The aftermath. PKD was never the same. He spent the remaining 8 years of his life trying to decode the message and understand the intelligence behind the beam. Even at the end, he said, "I still don't know what happened, but I know something did." That humility is what makes him real, not a guru, not a prophet, but a witness.